Have you ever looked up at a massive metro line, a skyscraper, or a really complex bridge and just wondered how on earth did they actually build that? The cities we live in are these amazing feats of engineering, right? But behind every single one, there are even more incredible stories of leadership and pure innovation. Today, we're going to dive deep into one of those stories. A project so ambitious, it completely pushed the boundaries of what anyone thought was possible.
So let's start with a big question. What does it actually take to build the world's largest public-private partnership metro project? We're going to get into that by looking at a truly monumental case study, the Hyderabad Metro Rail project in India. And trust me, this wasn't just another construction job. It was a record-breaking effort that totally redefined the game.
All right, let's talk numbers for a second. The budget. We're talking about 14,000 crore rupees. To put that in perspective, that's roughly 1.7 billion US dollars. It's a number that's kind of hard to even wrap your head around, and it gives you an immediate sense of the massive financial and logistical scale we are dealing with here.
And it's not just about the money. Not at all. Imagine trying to weave a 72-kilometer steel artery right through the heart of one of India's most crowded, historic cities, all while that city has to keep functioning. The complexity is just staggering. So who could possibly lead a project like this?
Well, that brings us to the man at the center of our story. The engineer and leader who is the driving force behind making this incredible megaproject a reality.
So meet Venugopal Burgupalli. Now he's a professional with this really rare combination of deep, hardcore civil engineering knowledge and, at the same time, sharp management skills. It's that dual expertise that really allowed him to navigate such a ridiculously complex environment.
And his journey, like for so many great engineers in India, started right here at the National Institute of Technology, Warangal. This is where he got his Master of Technology degree, laying that crucial academic foundation for what would become a truly remarkable career.
Now, what's so fascinating here is the path he took. He started out as a site engineer in India, right? Then he went out and got all this critical international experience on huge projects like the Dubai Metro, before coming back to India to lead some of the country's own most ambitious infrastructure projects. That global perspective, absolutely key to his success.
So the big question is, how did he pull it off? Leading these kinds of projects, it takes more than just traditional engineering. It demands a completely modern approach, what you could call a 21st century blueprint for building. Let's break down what that blueprint actually looks like.
Okay, a huge piece of that blueprint is something called digital transformation. I know, it sounds like a buzzword. But for a project like the Hyderabad Metro, it meant fundamentally changing how everything was done, using technology to make every single process smarter and more efficient.
And this right here, this is what that digital toolkit actually looks like in practice. He brought in systems for everything. You had electronic data management to handle the mountains of design documents, which prevents so many costly mistakes. He used AI to predict and optimize costs, which saves a ton of public money, and even robotic automation to speed up approvals, cutting down on those endless delays. This is how you manage insane complexity at scale.
But look, technology is only half the story. The other half is all about people. Stakeholder engagement? It sounds simple, but on a project this size, it is an unbelievably complex dance of negotiation, coordination, and constant communication.
I mean, just look at this web of coordination. It's crazy. To get the metro built, he had to get everyone on the same page. We're talking about Indian Railways, the National Highways Authority, dozens of city agencies, the utility companies, and maybe most important of all, the local communities whose daily lives were being turned upside down. The key takeaway here is that managing this human web is every bit as critical as pouring the concrete.
So this ability to master both the technology and the people, it points to something much bigger than just project management. It points to a unique legacy of leadership.
And this quote from a profile on his work, it really hits the nail on the head. For projects that involve huge amounts of public money and have such a big impact on people's lives, his commitment to being transparent, accountable, and just plain ethical was absolutely non-negotiable. That's what builds trust, and you know what? Trust is the foundation of any successful mega project.
And his leadership doesn't just stop at the construction site. He's actively investing in the next generation of engineers, right back where he started at NIT Warangal. He gives lectures, he sets up internships, he even guides PhD students, making sure all the lessons learned on these incredible projects are passed on. He's paying it forward.
So all of this, the global career, pioneering new methods, this commitment to mentoring, it all brings his story full circle.
And so, this year, Venugopal Barugupalli has been nominated by his peers for the Distinguished Alumnus Award from NIT Warangal. It's a formal recognition of a career that hasn't just built cities, but has also brought incredible distinction to the very institution where it all began.
Because when you really think about it, his true impact isn't just the 72 kilometers of steel and concrete. It's the blueprint he created for a whole new generation of leaders, a blueprint for building the future, both literally and figuratively.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. As our world faces bigger and bigger challenges with cities and infrastructure, the real question is this: how will the next generation, armed with these new tools and a strong ethical compass, build the world that we can only begin to imagine?